The Kruskal-Wallis test is a non-parametric alternative to the one-way ANOVA. As with most non-parametric tests and their parametric counterparts, for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of reader familiarity with results, you'll certainly want to utilize the parametric test in almost every instance. So let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about this test, and then we'll do an example in SPSS, and I'll show you how to put your results in APA format. As always, all code related to this video's exercises can be found in the video description below, along with the associated data file, which will be structured in CSV format. So the Kruskal-Wallis H-test is a non-parametric test that acts as an alternative to the one-way ANOVA. Its internal methodology utilizes a ranking system to generate application output. So here's our example. As a researcher, you are presented with 3 separate groups of data, each of which contains 6 sample data points. You are tasked to discover if each group of data shares the same distribution. So this presents us with this particular hypothesis. We're going to assume an alpha value of 0.05. Our data is right there on the right, and we'll be doing the example in SPSS shortly. But our hypothesis is thus. For null, the 3 sample group medians are the same, and the alternative is the 3 sample group medians are not the same. So if we want to perform this analysis in SPSS, assuming we have our data correctly imported, we would select Analyze, Non-Parametric Tests, Legacy Dialogues, and then K independent samples. For our test variable, we would select data, and for our grouping variable, we would select group. We then have to click Define Range, and we have to put in the group variable. So our smallest group variable, our minimum group variable is 1, and our maximum group variable is 3. Once we have those entered, we click Continue. We want to be sure that this box here for test type Kruskal-Wallis H is selected, and then we click OK. This is our output, and I'm going to do this quickly in SPSS just to demonstrate how to receive this output, and then we're going to go over the APA findings. So let's go to SPSS. Here we are, and as you can see, I have our data already entered or imported, depending on whatever methodology you'd like to take. And we're going to go to Analyze. We're going to go to Non-Parametric Tests. We're going to go to Legacy Dialogue. And again, this is the same as the slides, K independent samples. Data goes up top. Group goes to grouping variable. We have to define the range. Our groups are 1 to 3, so our minimum group is 1. Our maximum group is 3. Continue. OK. And here are our findings in the output window. So we're primarily interested in the Kruskal-Wallis H data variable here, the degrees of freedom, and the significance. All right, so let's go back to our slides. So here we are. We're really just interested in these variables here. Okay, and this variable as well, the total n. So here are our findings. Since our p-value is greater than our stated alpha value, 0.07 is greater than 0.05, we will fail to reject the null hypothesis. Therefore, at 95% confidence interval, we cannot state that the medians of each group significantly differ. So if you're in a course or taking a class for credit and you need to state your findings, you have to include this top portion here. However, if you're just writing your findings as it relates to research, this is all that you need to put as far as your research findings are concerned, this right here. So if you're doing a course, it's this and this. If you're just doing research, it's this. A Kruskal-Wallis H test was conducted to examine differences in dependent variables. So for dependent variables, you'd have group 1, group 2, or group 3, or whatever it is, across 3 groups. So whatever you're looking to search for as far as dependence or difference is concerned. So a Kruskal-Wallis test was conducted to examine for differences in whatever it is that the differences that you're looking for, okay, across 3 groups. So differences in hours slept, differences in study time, differences in whatever, across the number of groups. So in this case, we had 3 groups. The results showed no significant differences between the groups, and that's because our p-value is 0.07. If our p-value is less than 0.05, we are going to say that the results showed significant difference. But in this case, because our p-value is greater than 0.05, the results showed no significant difference between the three groups. This 2 is our degrees of freedom. N is the number of observations in all groups. So each group summed together, N equals 18. That's our total number of observations. This is the value that we've received for our output as it pertains to the Kruskal-Wallis H-test value. And P is the p-value. So let's just go back here. Here's the N. Here's the degrees of freedom. Here's our p-value. And here's our Kruskal-Wallis H value. All right. And all three of those, or all four of those values, go in this final bit of data that needs to be reported as far as as far as APA is concerned. So that's where we're going to end today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, maybe leave a comment below so we can all help one another out. We're trying to get this message out to as many users as possible. So best of luck to you in your research or in your course. Thanks for stopping by, and until next time, take care.